In the last 18 months, we have helped hundreds of experts generate over $1.5 million, all by running their online business like a flowing river, not a complex sales funnel. But just 5 years ago, I was a food delivery driver on a bike while I was in college. And then I built my first online business where we help coaches and educators booked over 10,000 paid sessions that generated over $600,000 in the first year. And eventually we sold that business for 5 figures to managing partner at Boston Consulting Group. And 2 years ago, me and my best friend Sion, who is behind the camera, raised $1 million from venture capital investors for our software startup Flowlance. And at one point, we even had a team of 10 people, we had the big offices, and we were chasing signups with all the ways possible. And I think that to many, maybe even you watching this, it sounds like the ultimate dream, right? And to be honest, it was also my dream, until I realized that it was the straight opposite of everything I ever wanted. Because, for example, one of the investors at the beginning told us, don't focus on revenue, focus on the numbers and building the story for the next round. And that's a really comfortable advice when you are 20 something and someone just wired you hundreds of thousands of dollars on your bank account. But it's also a really dangerous game of betting everything on just one single card. And while we building that startup, I slowly started to feel like a fraud, because we were helping experts build a sustainable businesses while we were burning cash on building my company that was basically a bucket full of holes. And eventually we got over 7,000 people to sign up, but only like 200 of them made 80% of that $1.5 million. For example, like Irene, who did $87,000 in just 6 months with her language coaching business. Or Catherine, who did $66,000 with her courses and coaching. Or Jacob, who did $54,000 and he actually loves running his own business right now with our system. And that made me recently sit down and think about what I want to build here. It's just another nice story for the next round full of investors and less control, or it's a great long-term profitable business built around my own life in the exact same way we have been helping our customers build all along. And the fact that I'm making this video means that I have obviously chosen the second option. Because my goal was always to build something with the freedom to work from anywhere with just a few people that I actually like, and ideally be able to run it for 1 decade or 2. So right now I'm rebuilding my entire business using the exact customer flow ecosystem we have helped build dozens of our customers that feels natural and flows as a water in the river, in just one direction. And in this video, I want to show you how you can build your own version of it. But before we get into it, I want to take you through my previous business so you can understand where I'm coming from. Because during the time building our startup, we tried everything that online guru says. We tried a cold email marketing, we paid ads where we spent almost $100,000 on ads alone, and we built an email list of 10,000 people from that. We ran the webinar funnels, we made the content, we tried the affiliates, and we were also scraping the leads, and we tried to build partnership with other brands and other creators. But sadly, we also changed the direction of the product like 5 times and our target audience as well. So at one point, our email list was just a mix of random people who didn't know what we even did anymore. And this was the exact part where it got real hard, because I was helping coaches and consultants to build simple profitable businesses. But I was running a startup that burned cash, chased investors, and tried to scale subscriptions. So I was doing something completely different than the people I was supposed to help. So every time I sit down to create a content or write an email to my audience, I felt really stuck because I couldn't get out of my head, because I was so far removed from what they were actually going through. And that made almost impossible for me to show up authentically. So I started looking at the difference between those who succeeded on our platform and those who didn't. And I analyzed all the data, like millions of data points. And I found that the exact same thing I was struggling with myself was holding back most of our users as well. Because they weren't building their business around their life. They were building their life around the business. And every time when you get that disconnected, when the business starts owning you instead of serving you, it slowly stops working and it becomes really painful to run. And when I was looking on our market on the best coaches, consultants and educators out there, I realized something. In these days with AI, with all the content opportunities, with how fast everything moves, there's only one way how to build a business with a big profit, big cash flow and with high margin. But also a business that is still lean, created only by you or max 1 or 2 another people who are actually your friends, not just employees. And I know that anyone can do that in any niche by building it as a simple flow that moves like a river, not a machine that needs constant maintenance. And you can actually notice that every big creator out there is talking about it right now. So I made a decision of no more rounds, no more chasing the vanity metrics, and I'm flipping the whole thing around and I'm building the business around me instead of around the software. So now you kind of understand where I am coming from, which is very important for the rest of the video. And now in the next few segments here, I want to show you exactly how I fix these problems. So the core philosophy behind the customer flow ecosystem is something that I realized for myself first. And then I saw the exact same pattern in dozens of online businesses of coaches and consultants that I have been fortunate enough to work with. And the thing is that most of us are not salespeople. We all hate selling, we hate forcing, we hate squeezing, and we hate everything that has to do something with objection handling. But then somebody on the internet told us that to sell our things, we also need to be a great content creator, or email marketer, funnel builder, copywriter. We need to run ads and do a ton of sales calls. And if we don't, we need a big team. But it makes our margins paper thin and we also manage this team, right? But I really don't want to do that once again. Because I didn't get into business because I wanted more complexity in my life. I want more freedom. And I will bet that you got into the business because you are just good at what you do and you genuinely want to help other people. You want to give others the same transformation you have experienced in your own life. Whether that's getting in shape, building a better relationship, or in my case, experiencing what it's like to run a business that flows like a river. Because think about how a river works. It's created by many streams that comes together and created one strong current. And along the way, there are the ports where people can stop, and at the end there is one main destination where everyone wants to get and stay, and that's the harbor. And now this is the analogy for your business, where the streams are your content on different platforms created by individual posts, and each stream gets stronger over time. And all of those streams creates one strong current, which is your email list, your community, a place where people are flowing with you. And along the way, there are the ports, which are your products and form of access that people can get to. And all the ports have only one job. Move your customers along the current closer to the harbor, which is your main core product, the high ticket offer that you have, where clients can stay with you for a long period of time. And my goal here is really simple. I want to get people safely into the harbor so they can stay with me for a longer period of time. Because the harbor is where the real transformation happens, where people get better results. And this is basically the whole philosophy behind the customer flow ecosystem, and it's always the same. Ports along the way are a bunch of small transformations allowed to serve you different clients so they can eventually access the harbor. Alright, so now I want to walk you through the whole customer flow ecosystem, the exact system I'm using as well right now. And I want to go through each individual component and show you how it helps you serve your audience while making sure it's still scalable. So you don't need multiple offers, multiple funnels, multiple communities, or multiple versions of everything in your business. So the core idea here is really simple. It's one simple transformation with one main offer, where you can build everything around one simple flow that carries people towards it. And everything gets easier that way, because that's what business is all about, right? Build the foundation and leverage them through the time. So your positioning gets more clear, your marketing gets simpler, and your delivery gets smoother. So let's break down the 4 parts right now. The streams, the current, the ports, and the harbor. So the first part of the customer flow ecosystem are the streams. This matters because your streams create your current, and your current equals your revenue. Because without many streams feeding water into your river, you have no business, you have no flow, and you have no money. So streams are basically the channels bringing people into your river. And it can be your Instagram, YouTube, email, and your content in general. The idea here is to build really strong streams to feed the same current. And the great thing about the streams is that you dig them once and they will fill your river for long term. And you can also think about it like this. Someone calls it content waterfall, but it's basically the same thing. That one YouTube video becomes 3 Instagram reels. That becomes 3 emails in your newsletters, and that becomes a couple of threads on X. It's basically the same story divided into multiple smaller streams, all feeding the same current for you. And now I want to show you, for example, our customer Tammy, who started from zero with us, and she was intimidated by all the tech and overwhelmed by all the platforms, and she didn't know where to start with her business. But once she built her first stream the right way, which means simple and connected, all telling the same story, she made her first sale, and she finally believed that she can actually do this, because all of a sudden it felt easy. But the problem with the streams is that people are still creating streams that dry out. And I did it myself all the time. You post on Instagram one day, you do the YouTube video next day, you write the email about something completely different the week after, and none of that have some connection. It doesn't have a coherent story, and it basically can't feed your current. And you end up with scattered puddles instead of strong flowing river. Streams work only when they are all connected, when every piece of the content, every platform, every message feeds into the same transformation, the same story, and the same current into your business. Now, the second part of the ecosystem is the current, and your current determines your cash flow. Because the stronger your current is, the stronger your revenue is. And weak current equals no cash flow. It's simple as that. And the way you build that current is through what I call show, don't tell marketing. Let me explain this through an analogy. Imagine that you are at the beginning of the river and you need to get to the harbor, to the end. And there are 3 different guides that you can work with. The first guy stands at the river's edge and he points down and says, you just need to float through here, avoid the rocks over there, and you will eventually reach the harbor. Then there is a second guide and it's already docked in the harbor. And he yells upstream towards you and sends you half-filled map how he made it. But you have never seen either of them actually navigate the river. And then there is the third option, the guide who gets in the boat with you and you start rowing together. And that's the only guide I want to be. And that's basically my entire content philosophy right now. I just want to share whatever it is, what I'm actually doing, and use it as a streams into my business, because all those streams you build, like Instagram, YouTube, all the content that you ever create, they feed into one current. And that current is your email list, your community, your audience you actually own. Not just the followers on the Instagram that vanish if you get banned, which is like pretty common thing right now. And your current is basically the people that are in your world, that reading your emails inside your ecosystem, flowing with you towards to the harbor. Because when someone joins your email list, they don't just read one email and leaves right after. They stay longer, they read for weeks, months, sometimes they are reading your work even for years. And this is where the trust gets built and where sales gets easier. And I want to show you our customer Jane, who had no idea how to build this. But then she built her current step by step. Email list, content flowing into it, and one of her story repeated across the streams. Now her product is actually selling because her current carried people naturally towards the offer. But the problem I see all the time is that people usually let their current dry out. They build an email list and never email it. Or they do the mistake that they really fragment their current. And one offer gets one audience, another offer gets another audience, and everything is split and scattered. And your current works only when it's unified as one list, one story, one transformation, flowing towards the one destination, which is the harbor. Now, the third part of the whole customer flow ecosystem are ports, which are the checkpoints along the river where people can stop, rest, and get served by you. And they are not feeling forced to buy, because they are choose to stop when they are feeling ready. And when they do, they get a small transformation that helps them continue along the journey. Ports are basically your offers, your low-ticket digital products, courses, templates, workshops, anything someone can buy before they feeling ready to stop in your harbor. But the key is that good ports are all connected. They send people to each other and they guide them deeper into the current and closer to the harbor. So for example, my simple port system made $2,556 in just 19 days with a brand new offer for just $7 at the beginning of the current. I turned it into a system offering more help and access that generated $243 in average order value per customer. And a lot of people I see usually build random ports that are basically just wooden planks. They break trust because they don't deliver real help along the journey, and they are just quick cash grabs that leave people stranded at the bank. But the thing is that good ports don't just take money, they serve people and they move them closer to the harbor, which is the fourth part of the whole customer flow ecosystem. Harbor is the final destination, where people can dock, stay long term and get a full transformation from you. And everything before this, before the harbor, the streams, current, ports, has only one job: lead people naturally into the harbor. And here's how it works. You can imagine the harbor as your high ticket offer, your long-term program, your recurring membership. It's basically a place where people anchor their boat and stay safe. And they dock, they develop and they transform. Because in the harbor, they have everything they need. They have the tools, the support, the crew, and the environment that actually gets them the results. And here, in this case, you can take, for example, our customer Adele, who was tired from complexity of all tools, trading the time for money, managing all the coaching clients manually. She was basically stuck in the grind without no time, no freedom, basically almost burnt out. But when she built her harbor, finally, she get a system where her clients stay, get transformation and renew. And she made $56,000 with her simple flow customer ecosystem. And that's exactly what the harbor does. But if you treat your high ticket offer like another port, just one-time stop, a single transaction where people get something and leave, it will not work. Harbor is place where they can stay for years. Because the harbor only works when people want to stay, because it's where the results actually happens. Okay, now I know that that's a lot of information and probably a lot of it goes against of what you have heard elsewhere. But I want to show you why the customer flow ecosystem isn't more complicated than what you are already doing right now, and why it's actually simpler. And the best way to show you this is by comparing it to something else. So let me put the old way next to the new way. Because before I had a team of 10 people, developers, operations, go-to-market and a designer. And every one of them was hired to fix a problem. But actually they oftentimes created more problems to be solved. Now the whole system does what the 10 people did. The streams are built step by step. For example, with this video, and they bring people in and the current holds them and the ports do the selling along the way. Before I spent $100,000 on ads to buy attention that disappears the second I stop paying for them. And I'm not saying that ads are bad, but there are some rules around that. And now the money and the energy goes into the streams, which costs less every month instead of more, because a stream you dug last week is still carrying water this one. Before, when I sit down and try to make content about our product, I was so disconnected that it was basically one of the hardest things I had to do, and I never looked forward to it. Now I just showing what I'm actually building, which is the customer flow ecosystem, which means I never running out of the ideas, because if I did something this week, that's the content. And that creates the streams. Like talking from your own experience and not outside of it is probably the best content hack that you can ever do. Before, I get someone on a sales call and try to convince them for 45 minutes. Now they qualify themselves by stopping at the ports first, so people who reach the main offer, the harbor, already know exactly what they are getting. And here's one part that actually matters in this system. When I make this video, it doesn't just get the views. It feeds the stream, and the stream feeds the current, and the current fills the ports, and the ports eventually fills your harbor, which is your main high ticket offer. So everything improves together. Better content means more qualified people in your current, and bigger current means more people through the ports. And more people through the ports means more clients in your business, and more clients mean more results that you can show in your content. So it's all the loop, because it gets easier the longer you run it. And that's the main difference right here, because before I was doing 6 things and every one of them started from zero every single month. Now I do one thing and it makes everything else stronger. So now I hope that this quick comparison shows you it's not that big of a shift. It's basically the same work, just pointed in one direction. Let me give you the actual steps so you can build your own customer flow ecosystem as well. The step one is that before you build anything, you need to answer these 3 questions. The first one is the core transformation that you help people actually achieve. Then what makes your approach different from everyone else? For example, as my whole customer flow ecosystem that I compared to the river in this video. And then most importantly, what transformation have you personally lived through, what you can teach from the inside of the experience and not just from the outside. And your answers on these questions are your water into the streams, and it's your foundation. For example, for me, it's pretty simple now. I spent years building workflow systems, funnels and offers that makes other people millions of dollars in total revenue. But I was doing the exact opposite I told others to do. And that was quite weak thinking from me. So now I help coaches, consultants and educators build their whole customer flow ecosystem that makes $100,000 profit a year without a team, without the overwhelm and without the constant confusion. And I slowly build the streams, strengthen the current and fill the harbor. And I would recommend to you design your own transformation in simple steps, phases and checkpoint as well, because it makes really everything so much easier. Because once you know your transformation that you can deliver, you build the components for it. You will develop your streams that will bring people into your world, which will be your content, your outreach and your entry points. And you dig them one by one and develop over time. Don't try to do everything at once, because this is the most important part where the water comes from. Then you will build and strengthen your current, which is the main component of your business that you really need to take care of. Because as I said multiple times already, your current equals your revenue and it becomes pretty predictable. And the current is where people flow through your whole ecosystem, where they engage with you and where they can stay. And then you build everything to one harbor, to one offer, to one destination. And this completes the whole system. So you feed the river to that harbor where people can stop, spend time with you and you can serve them for a long time. And once you connect all those pieces together, it becomes one simple flow. And you can, by the way, actually build this whole thing inside our software, which is one of mine own ports. But today, after this video, you just need to start building your streams into your current. Pick just one thing and do it today, because it will compound over time. You can talk with the first prospects who get into the current, DM followers, send voice messages, reply on emails. Get the feedback from actual people and gather the information that you need to have the insight in your business. And you will see where people get stuck in the process, and you will then simply just document the process. And don't worry about your first version, because it will be probably wrong, as mine was multiple times. But remember only one thing. It's your business and you can do anything you want with it. You can build it around any idea you have inside your head. So ideally give your method some name as well, because once it has a name, it stops being a set of tactics and random things, but it becomes the thing that people come to you for. And that's it. That's the whole ecosystem that is my business is founded on. And I really believe in it, not just because it's some clever idea, but because it's something I have built for many people over the last couple of years. And I know it works for basically every niche that is out there. And now when I'm building it for myself, I'm really pretty excited about it because it feels very natural to me. And I'm actually still at the very beginning of it, which is quite awesome because there's a lot of things to do. Because the current needs to be strengthened and supported with the new streams. And a lot of ports needs to be built and connected between each other. And the harbor needs to be filled and well maintained to keep our customers happy. And you can check the description of this video so you can find out and learn where and how you can build your whole customer ecosystem by yourself. Or you can just DM me the word flow on my Instagram profile, which is in the description as well, if you would like me to help you build this whole thing really hands-on. So thank you very much for watching until here, and I will see you in the next one.